everybody, Fallout here, definitely not eating my own body weight in sugar cookies this week, and ready to talk a little bit about a D2 weapon you should farm for now before it is too late, the Glacioclasm fusion rifle. First of all, why you should care. Well, fusion rifles ain't bad in the meta right now. Fairly easy to pull off a VOOP, especially when former obnoxious weapon options like Mountaintop and Revoker are firmly 6 feet under. 150 RPM hand cannons are also still dead, meaning the fusion folk can worry slightly less about getting 3-tapped in the blink of an eye while charging up their VOOP. Yeah, I know, they still gotta worry about getting 3-tapped by a 140 RPM hand cannon though, and the very rare sunshot, but whatever. Point is, fusions are fun and can get the job done. On top of that, Glacioclasm is hella easy to farm for. If you are interested, click the link in the top right corner now for a guide I put together on how to farm dawning loot with little to no effort. If you were ever a fan of the Erentil, by the way, Glacioclasm should be right up your alley. And of course, you can't currently use Erentil in light level enabled PvP, unless you want to get bitch slapped, of course. Erentil got sunset last season, so it's currently capped out at power level 1060. Glacioclasm, on the other hand, will be good all the way until the end of season 15. It's got incredibly good numbers, and I would have loved to make a video on it a little bit earlier in the season, but hey, you know, time flies. We're gonna go over what perks you should be on the lookout for when farming a Glacioclasm, but first I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Manscaped. Fellas, the holidays are over, but you know what's never over? The battle of keeping yourself well-groomed in the pants. Yeah, I'm not being very subtle, but it's something you need to hear. Keeping your IRL fusion rifle clean and trimmed is something you just gotta do, boys. Introducing Manscaped. They created the world's first all-in-one manscaping kit used by countless men around the globe. Their piece de resistance is the Lawnmower 3.0. That's their main, barrel trimmer, let's say. USB chargeable because we live in the future, and it's waterproof, meaning if you want to, you can use it to clean up in the shower. You're a goddamn man, aren't you? Then stop using outdated and inefficient tools to trim up. Just go to Manscaped and get their perfect package kit, which comes with a bunch of stuff you can use to stay clean and classy. Clean up the optimal way and get 20% off and free shipping on your Perfect Package 3.0 kit when you use my promo code PLAYS20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code PLAYS20 at manscaped.com, and thank you again to the fine people at Manscaped. Alright, back to finding the exact right fusion rifle to liquefy people with. Now before we even get into the details on column 1, I have a very important question to ask you. This will be one of 2 important questions. Okay, ready? Here we go. How afraid are you of damage drop-off? Think about that a minute. Think about how far away from enemies you usually put yourself before trying to VOOP them, and think about if you'd be angry or not if you barely missed getting a kill due to damage drop-off. The reason I ask you that is because Glacioclasm has a very generous base range and a relatively defined damage drop-off point. The TLDR is that additional range can help your Glacioclasm perform slightly better, but it's up to you to determine how badly you want it. I got some numbers for you. I compared 2 Glacioclasms, one with a quote low, and I'm using that word lightly, range of 67, and another with a high range of 89. The low-range Glacioclasm began experiencing damage drop-off at 17 meters exactly, with more severe damage reduction once we got to the 18-meter window. The high-range Glacioclasm held damage values at 17 meters, while damage drop-off did begin at 18. It was very minor when compared with the low-range version. Again, this is all up to you. Are you gonna constantly miss one-charge kills due to having low range? Probably not, but it could happen once in a blue moon. If you're cool with that, you can focus on other things like stability and handling. On the other side of that fence, if you feel that the stability on your gun is totally fine right out of the gate and you don't really want to worry about top-notch handling, that's alright too. You can get a smidge more range to really guarantee that you'll be less thwarted by damage drop-off. And also remember that range ties into overall accuracy, your weapon's firing cone, stickiness, all that stuff. All right, let's get into column 1. Again, depending on how afraid you are of damage drop-off or how comfortable you are with the weapon's default stability and weapon recoil is going to determine what you feel would be a god roll barrel perk. By default, Glacioclasm has a 78 recoil direction. If you want to worry very little about the recoil direction of your fusion, you can go with Arrowhead Break, which gives you exactly 22 recoil direction, pushing the Glacioclasm up to 100 recoil direction on the nose. Chambered Compensator and Extended Barrel also come with 10 recoil direction each. That paired together with a counterbalance weapon mod can help you reach the 100 recoil direction threshold. Keep in mind though that chambered and extended come with penalties to handling if you care. If you're fine with the default value of 78 recoil, you could go with fluted barrel, small bore, hammer forged rifling, or polygonal rifling based on if you feel the gun needs more range or more stability. Might take a little bit of trial and error and practice, but grab whatever feels right to you. Gun to my head though, I'm probably gonna go with either Arrowhead Break or Chambered Compensator. I tend to like fusions more when I play controller as opposed to M&K, and I like extra stability a bunch on the Glacioclasm. Again, both these options can hit 100 recoil direction, which I'm a fan of, but you do you. Let's hop on over to column 2, where we have a grand total of 5 coil options. Now, before we pick our coil option, I've got another question to ask you. Ready? How afraid are you of high resil guardians? The reason I ask, depending on how afraid you are that you're going to run into a high resil enemy, that might determine what you want to pick for column 2. Let me break it down for you. With default damage, the Glacioclasm does 48 damage per bolt, and if you were to hit an enemy with only 4 bolts out of your fusion rifle, if that enemy was 6 resil or higher, you're not gonna wind up getting the kill. The enemy is gonna live, and they may kill you while you're charging up another shot. Of course, if you're confident you'll always land at least 5 bolts on the enemy, this may not worry you at all. No matter what you pick in column 2, landing 5 bolts on the enemy will guarantee a kill no matter how much resil they have. But fusion rifles fire with a good deal of RNG, and depending on how far away you are, there's always the chance you could only end up landing 4 bolts on the enemy. Again, with regular Glacioclasm damage, landing 4 bolts will only kill guardians with 5 resil and below. If you get accelerated coils in column 2, your charge time becomes faster, but at the cost of damage. Even though in-game it still shows your damage number as 48, the same as before, remember that is a rounded number that really isn't exactly 48 on the dot. That's Bungie cleaning up the damage number for our viewing pleasure because they think we, the players, are absolutely terrified of decimal points. With accelerated coils, if you were to land only 4 bolts on an enemy in PvP, if they are 4 resil or higher, they will live. Definitely be sure to keep that in mind because I find that a lot of Guardians run higher than 4 resil in PvP. But again, if you're really confident you'll frequently land at least 5 bolts on the enemy and not 4, accelerated coils is a great choice overall because of the quicker charge up time. On the other end of the damage spectrum, we have liquid coils where your charge time is mildly extended, but in return you get extra damage per bolt. With liquid coils, landing only 4 bolts on an enemy due to wonky fusion rifle RNG, you'll be able to kill any Guardian running 8 resil or lower. That is pretty damn good on paper, but again, it comes at a heavy price of a longer charge up time. This all comes down to whether or not you feel confident in your ability to frequently land at least 5 bolts on your enemy in PvP. If you're terrified about missing a bolt and leaving an enemy with a shred of health, you can run liquid. If you don't worry at all about leaving your enemies with a shred of health because you're Mr. 5 Bolt, hell, run AC coils. Now, normally I don't move on to another column until I finish the column I'm on, but because we're talking about damage output in relation to charge time, I gotta quickly hop over to column 4 and talk about high impact reserves. High impact is gonna pump up your damage output per bolt if you're low enough in the mag to have the perk activated. Good news for PvP though, because you spawn in with 2 bolts in the mag by default, you literally spawn in with the high impact damage activated every time. Here's some damage numbers for you. Liquid coils paired together with high impact is the definition of overkill. With 2 left in the mag, 51 damage per bolt is going to murder anyone in PvP, no matter how much resil they have, if you land 4 bolts. With high impact, regular coils and even accelerated coils become much more appealing, taking the damage up to 49 and 50 for the second to last shot in the mag, and about 50 per bolt with 1 left in the mag. I know we are really getting lost in the weeds right now with all this damage per bolt talk, but it's kind of a big decision on what you're looking for in a good Glacioclasm. I'ma just let you know right now, I don't like large charge-up times on my fusion rifle, and because of that, I try to rule out liquid coils in column 2 right away. If I want to make sure I'm getting that hot extra damage to ensure a dead enemy guardian on the off chance I only land 4 bolts on him, I'm 100% rolling with high impact reserves in column 4. And if I have high impact reserves in column 4, I'm 100% a-okay with accelerated coils in column 2. Yeah, the damage does go down a bit, but if you can keep your mag low on purpose, you will be fine. And then you get the best of both worlds. Strong damage per bolt with a lightning quick charge time. Booyah. Finally covering the other perks in column 2, which I'm a fan of. Really, it's only particle repeater if you feel like you could use more help in the stability department, or projection fuse for a touch more range. Enhanced or ionized battery can be good, but again, only if you have high impact reserves in column 4. The extra mag size means that your high impact damage bonus starts with 3 shots left in the mag, not 2. So yay to that. Confused yet? Good, let's move over to column 3, where we got 6 options to choose from. I'm gonna go ahead and rule out right away what we don't want, starting with Ambitious Assassin. Overflowing the mag is cool, but based on getting rapid kills before reloading? Hell to the no. That's the kind of perk we want on like a PvE SMG or a shotgun or something, not a PvP fusion rifle. Hard pass. Field prep can also GTFO. Now there is something to say about faster stow and ready time when you're crouching. You could slide into battle while whipping out your Glacioclasm, and that wouldn't be a bad move overall. But yeah, I feel like there's much hotter options to go for in column 3. Speaking of which, let's talk about surplus. Better handling, reload, and stability for each charged ability. One of the biggest complaints, I guess, I've heard about surplus is that it can interfere with your muscle memory of how a gun kicks and performs and feels. If you're constantly getting different levels of handling, stability, etc., it is hard to develop a consistent feel for how the gun fires. I get that, but I don't really have that problem when using a fusion rifle. Point, charge, shoot. Any extra handling or stability I can get in that situation is gravy. IMO surplus is high tier on the Glacioclasm, you should be happy to get it. Speaking of other top tier perks, hello again to one of my favorite new weapon perks overall, Killing Wind. Better range, handling, and movement on a kill. Really not a lot to explain there. Get 1 VOOP and become a quicker, more accurate killing machine. Yay. The last 2 perks are Under Pressure and Slide Shot. Both of them are rock solid on the Glacioclasm in PvP. Under Pressure gives better stability and accuracy as you get lower in the mag. Again, because you spawn into PvP with 2 charges ready to go in the mag, in theory, Under Pressure should be ready to go on your gun most times in PvP. Extra stability and accuracy are going to help you land a bunch more bolts on enemies in PvP, and for that reason, it is a damn good fusion perk. Slide Shot is great for multiple reasons. Sliding gives you better range and stability for about 2 seconds, meaning you could slide into a charge and get those benefits when the bolts fire out of the gun. Also, you partially reload your gun when you slide. Usually a big who cares because you're only reloading a small amount of the mag at a time, but because of how incredibly viable high impact reserves is in column 4, Slide Shot becomes an even better option. The goal with those 2 perks together, intentionally keep your mag low to take advantage of high impact reserves extra damage output. Yeah, you could also pair high impact together with Under Pressure for a constant awesome low mag build, but Slide Shot lets you reload just the right amount of ammo back into the mag. That way you can keep high impact more under your own control. It's an awesome pairing, and spoiler alert, it will be one of the final god roll options at the end of the video. Alright, on to column 4, where we got 1 option we've already talked about and 5 more to review. Let's go ahead and start with auto-loading holster. Not a bad perk, but I usually like it in combination with the weapon perk Backup Plan, which is nowhere to be found on the Glacioclasm. I'll never turn down a free weapon reload, but yeah, I think that perk is pretty much outranked in column 4. Swashbuckler is here, and I guess if you're incredibly worried about your enemies living after a 4-bolt, Swash can definitely help you with that. Still though, I'd probably just rather take high impact reserves because that activates on a low mag, whereas Swash needs to be activated on a kill. The extra damage output from Swash can reach levels much higher than high impact, meaning you could potentially push out the max kill range a lot further. Still though, high impact is the more appealing perk to me anyway, but if you're a melee happy guardian or like the higher damage output potential, Swash is a good call. Demolitionist is always an enjoyable perk, especially if you're into throwing a lot of nades in PvP. Get ready to hate me, I have been abusing the hell out of glacier nades lately in PvP, so I 100% have a Glacioclasm hanging in my vault with demo in case I want to turn on my hunter and dial the nade abuse up to 11. Unrelenting is okay. I'm not going to turn down health regeneration on a multi-kill, but I really do think that high impact, demo, and even Swash outrank the upsides of Unrelenting. I'd rather have it on a primary, to be honest. Finally, we have Surrounding, and I do not recommend this perk at all on the Glacioclasm. Only kicks in if you're surrounded by 3 enemies, and if you're in PvP, surrounded by 3 dudes, armed only with a weapon that requires a charge up time to fire, you're about to get your nuts kicked in. Unless, of course, you're fighting the most unobservant guardians in the entire world, which case surrounded wouldn't make a difference for you anyway. If I want more damage, I'm going with high impact reserves or even Swashbuckler, not with surrounded. In terms of masterwork potential, I'm gonna refer you to our original conversation back in column 1 about how badly you feel like you might want extra range to potentially combat damage drop-off. That being said, again, Glacioclasm comes with pretty damn good default range. I'ma rank both stability and range as the ideal masterworks for the gun, probably with stability a little touch higher than range. If you want handling though, for mildly quicker swapping, hey, that works too, do your thing. All right, let's review. What exactly are the final options we have for a Glacioclasm god roll? Again, depending on how terrified you are of damage drop-off, that's gonna determine what we roll with in column 1. I'm gonna go ahead and recommend Arrowhead Break and Chambered Compensator, my personal goal being to get all the way up to 100 recoil direction one way or another. Column 2 really depends on a lot of things we already went over. I'm going either Projection Fuse, Particle Repeater, or Accelerated Coils, but only if I have high impact reserves in column 4. Column 3 has a lot of winners: Surplus, Killing Wind, Slide Shot, Under Pressure, and column 4 has both demo and high impact reserves. Absolute gun to my head though, I'm probably gonna go Slide Shot column 3 and high impact column 4 with a range or stability masterwork. Remember to try and avoid a charge up time masterwork, because every level that you pump into that, you are taking the damage output of your gun down overall. Do not do a charge masterwork. And there it is, our god roll PvP Glacioclasm fusion rifle. Fun as hell, reliable, and as I've mentioned already, painfully easy to farm for. So when you're done getting tipsy on Nog, log into D2 and get yourself a high quality fusion rifle today. Let me know down in the comments section what your favorite roll is and why, and remember to click the like button if you found today's video helpful or informative in any way. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.